Hey, what's up guys, aarava here, and welcome back to an episode of my F1 2019 mod career mode here with Charles Leclerc driving his Ferrari car for round number 17 today at the Japanese Grand Prix here in Suzuka. If you guys did miss the previous one at the Russian GP, then be sure to go check that one out before you see this one. Following that though, entering this Grand Prix, pretty okay cushion in the championship, in the drivers at least. Constructors wise, as a team, we did a good job last time out with a 1-2 for Ferrari there to catch up in the standings. We have to do another great job here at Japan to hopefully try and actually get that first place, because we're close but we're not quite there yet. Still in second place in the Constructors Championship. Japan should be a pretty okay one for us. Maybe the lack of downforce compared to the Mercedes might hinder us a little bit in the middle kind of sectors, but the back end of the lap should be pretty good. Saying that though, in qualifying straight away on this one-shot quali, you can see dancing the car around the S section in P1 that was in Sector 1, so looking pretty good right now into the hairpin though. A little bit slow into the entry and the exit. Didn't get on the traction as early as I could. A little bit of wheel spin in second gear, and so we're down to P5 actually, so fine margins it seems like here in the top 5 there. Vettel was first place at one point. Now it's Hamilton as we enter the last chicane, trying to chuck the car through in third, then down to second, trying to get the nose in, and then a little bit of an issue on the exit over the bump, and the car gets unsettled and across the line. Eventually it is P5 only for us. Hamilton, it looks like, grabbed pole position, and so in the end it turned from what looked like a really good lap at the start then, and just Sector 3 fell away from us there. I thought that might be our strongest sector really, but lost way too much time in the hairpin that was in Sector 2, and then didn't gain enough time on the exit and entry to the chicane, and so in the end we're P5, Hamilton on pole, Vettel second, Bottas in third, Gasly P4 ahead of us, Verstappen's alongside us in P6, Carlos Sainz and then Raikkonen on the next row, Hulkenberg and Magnussen round out the top 10, then you got Lando Norris, Grosjean, Ricciardo and Sergio Perez down to P14 with Danica Fiat in P15 alongside Antonio Giovinazzi. Then comes Lance Stroll alongside Alex Albon in the Toro Rosso and Racing Point car respectively, and then the last row, surprise surprise, is reserved for the Williams cars of Robert Kubica and George Russell. Let's go to the Japanese Grand Prix. And strategy-wise, it's going to be a 2-stop for us today. 2 sets of super soft tyres to the softs, and I'm hoping our race pace should be better. I think the start of that qualifying lap showed that I think we have more pace. I think I made just a few mistakes. That was going a little bit too early, maybe on the brakes into the hairpin, not getting the power down early enough, and then definitely the chicane lost some time on the exit. I think in race conditions, we can do much better around here. So looking forward to kind of taking the fight to Mercedes. And obviously, we kind of have to try and keep up this momentum. You know, a great 1-2 last time. It's the first time we've really had that control over Mercedes as a team, really. So we need to try and hopefully carry that forward here into Suzuka. The 2-stop, I think, is the way most people will go. I know it's been a 1-stop in previous career modes we've done, but that's with the tyre wear upgrades. Obviously, this is kind of Season 1 levels, so the tyre wear should be pretty high enough to guarantee that everyone's going to try this 2-stop, at least in the top 10. Of course, those outside the top 10 don't have to start on super soft tyres, so they may well do a 1-stop from mediums to from the soft tyres to the medium tyres, but that's their own prerogative. For us, I think in the top 10, the top 2 teams here, Mercedes v Ferrari, I think all of us will be doing that 2-stop here, so let's just get into it. I think we've got a lot more pace to show than we did on Saturday, so let's go out there and flex those muscles and see how it goes. So as we go to 5 red lights to the Japanese Grand Prix, lights are out, we're underway. It's a shocking start there for Sebastian Vettel. Good one for us compared to Pierre Gasly in the Red Bull car. We're going to go round the outside of Vettel, maybe get to P3, but Vettel taps us and we're nearly round. We're controlling the car, lifting off and just letting the car roll through the gravel trap nearly into the wall completely. That could have been nasty, but just about slowed the car. Thankfully, the gravel actually slowed the car down enough there. And so we're down to P20, and controversy at the Japanese Grand Prix. Us 2 Ferrari cars have come to head. The replay shows Vettel pretty much doesn't even feel anything, which is even more of a misery for us there. As he cuts across us there, there was a definite, change of direction from him from the right to the left, and definitely a knock on the right-hand side of my side pod and the wheel there. The momentum just carried us through, because of course we hadn't really started braking properly at that point in the corner there, but I'm just thankful we haven't lost any bit of our front wing, or it could have been even worse. If I had enough momentum, could have just slammed straight into that wall on the left, and that would have been my Grand Prix over. So at least we keep it going, but now it's a last question mark sort of challenge here at the Japanese Grand Prix. We have to try and see how far up the order we can go now in the 27 laps we've got remaining of this Japanese Grand Prix. We didn't even get to turn 1, and it's already been a bit of a disaster. So it's time to make the climb. We've made some comebacks before in this season. We know this car should be able to fly through, the lower end cars, the midfield cars. It's just going to be about, the traffic, then maybe towards the upper echelons of the midfield into the top 10. That's going to be the issue, I think, later on in this race. But for now, I think it should be, hopefully, a bit of a montage now in this Grand Prix of overtakes galore, to be honest. We now catch up to Lance Stroll. We've already dispatched the 2 Williams cars very, very easily there. That was on lap 1. Lap 2, we're trying to dance around the outside line. Stroll couldn't make it work on the inside there. We go around the outside of the next right-hander, and that's a sweet, sweet move. And up into P17 we go. Now Alexander Albon next up in the Toro Rosso car. We're going to have to wait until the next lap, because that Toro Rosso Honda, pretty good actually in a straight line here. So the Honda engineers will be very happy to see that at their home GP at Japan here, of course. But we're going to try and line them up in the S section once again, Sector 1. The same place we got the Racing Point car. Going to use the downforce difference between the Ferrari and the Toro Rosso. We're going to squeeze through, as Albon really does not give us too much room to breathe there. And so we just about make it through on the right-hand side. Nearly had to put a tyre in the grass. Thankfully, just used the curbs and all the length of the track. And we're up into P16 now, and hopefully soon be P15 as we close up to the second Toro Rosso. Kvyat, who is going a little bit slower than Albon, I guess. I think it looks like he's napping a little bit, so let's try and catch him napping as we go down the inside there. He's on soft tyres, remember, as well. All these guys, a lot of these guys on soft tyres, so we should also have the tyre advantage as well, not just the car advantage. But on the exit, you can see the Toro Rosso pretty good in a straight line. Accelerations there for the Russian, and so we go towards the spoon curves. We're going to go to the inside. Defensive work having to be done there. A little bit more defensive work than I wanted to be honest, but we make it work in the end. And we're now P15, and we catch up to this four-man train, tail-ended by Giovinazzi, the young Italian in the Alfa Romeo racing car. Hopefully we can get past him with ease, but as I say that, he blocks us off an absolute treat. But eventually we'll sail on the outside of that left-hander, that place where I tried to make a move on Stroll. Didn't work out. This time it did on the Alfa Romeo car. And now we've got a bit of a slow train up ahead, I think headed by, I think that's a McLaren there going slow. So the McLaren is a bit of a bottleneck here, holding up that Renault of Ricciardo and his Racing Point car of Sergio Perez. We make a late lunge to Perez, and that was a little bit fine, I will admit, on the curb there, and a little bit track limits questionable perhaps, but the FIA said nothing. We're up into P13 anyway onto Perez, so we'll take that and we'll try and chase after Ricciardo now, who is very much being held up by the McLaren. So the McLaren's good in a straight line, we know that from real life, and so maybe that Renault is just struggling to get him in a straight line. We'll have to see. He could potentially make a move towards 130R, of course. No DRS, but the slipstream is very powerful on the F1 game for sure down this back straight, but we might just join the party. We have a look around the outside there and have to take avoiding action because Ricciardo was so slow on the exit there, Apex. But here goes Ricciardo, then gets the toe off Norris and goes down the inside. We're going to get a double slipstream action here as we go to the left, and we're going to follow Ricciardo through down the inside of the Brit. And now can we make a dive on Daniel Ricciardo down the inside? We're going to go. It's going to be close. Lock-up, double lock-up from us. A little bit of contact as Ricciardo squeezes us right. And we've made some contact on the front wing. We've got some damage there. Yellow front wing. I don't know how much that's going to honestly affect things, as visually speaking, the cascade elements are actually still there on the front wing, you can see. So I don't know, it must have maybe been end plate damage, I think. So I can't actually see that part because it's covered up by the left front tyre, but I can certainly feel a little bit of understeer as we went through that right-hander. So that's going to make every right-hander very, very slow for us potentially. But we're actually still catching the Renault, so that's maybe just a more of a statement on Renault's downforce rather than ours with the broken front wings. We go around the outside and up the hill, the left-hander having plenty of grip there still, and up into P11, but such a shame there. So I talked about no damage with the contact with Vettel on the off at turn 1 on that one. Ironically, I get damage later on in the Grand Prix in, arguably a kind of easier part of the circuit to not get it, basically. I would have thought the damage would have come at that turn 1 incident rather than there, so funny how things work out. So karma's come back to pay me in that kind of way. But now we've got an offing, and it's a huge bit of damage for the Haas car there. The whole front left of the car is off, but we've got an illegal overtake on Hulkenberg, which I don't think is fair, because Hulkenberg was recovering and still coming back off the circuit, so I don't think I need to give him the place back. It was yellow flags, yes, but he was going so slow, so what do you want me to do? Wait up for him as he comes back on track? So that was a bit weird, but we let Hulkenberg back through because the FIA were insistent on that. So once again, the FIA being a bit dodgy with Ferrari in a Grand Prix here again, and so now we have to try and re-overtake Hulkenberg then, but Grosjean absolutely punted out of this Grand Prix, it would seem, by maybe Hulkenberg. I'm not too sure. We'll have to look at a replay later on in a second, but right now I want to stay on board as we try and chase after Hulkenberg. You can see, I think, a little bit, this front wing damage is affecting us in the corners. Not majorly. Like I said, it was a yellow bit of front wing, so it wasn't that bad, but it's still there, and there's a little sense of understeer as we go through the corners here, but we should get a good exit, and obviously straight line wise we're still going to be in a good shape here. So we're hot lap mode down to overtake mode on the ERS as we enter 7th gear. Rich Mick's been going this entire time. I'm going to squeeze through on the right hand side and get past Hulkenberg with ease and re-overtake him essentially up into P9. But this is a replay then of what happened. You've got the Alfa Romeo on the inside, and the Alfa Romeo has taken the Renault across, and the Alfa Romeo slows down, and the Haas is a bit blind and doesn't see the Alfa Romeo, comes at speed and smashes himself out the Grand Prix pretty much there. And so I think, well, the Alfa Romeo is to blame partly, but I think the Haas could have done a much better job at avoiding things. I mean, I avoided the Haas equally so in that turn 1, so that's a bit 50-50 for me, but that's why that occurred then, and that's why we gained one free position on the Haas. And that's also why Hulkenberg was stricken. It wasn't actually his fault in the incident. He was just a passenger taken wide by the Alfa Romeo car. But we changed the front wing then. You might have not seen it, but the engineer did change the front wing. The mechanic, I should say. And so we've lost a bit of time. The Renault has re-overtaken us, you can see. And now we're in some company once again with that Racing Point car right behind us. But now we've got a fully green, healthy front wing to end the Grand Prix. Knock on wood, we don't lose any bit more of our front wing later on in this race. That would be a bit of a tragedy. But we're down to P17 now. Of course, that's going to be a little bit higher once other people make their pit stops, because like I said, there are quite a few people who are outside the top 10 who are definitely trying a soft to medium strategy, so they will be pitting soon enough. Obviously, we're going to make an extra pit stop on top of that, so we need to try and use the pace of the Ferrari car to try and get ahead of them and get that pit stop gap ahead of them. But there will be some free positions to gain eventually once those pit stops start happening. So we just get our head down and start ploughing on, really. And I think that'll very much start by trying to overtake Hulkenberg once again. So for the second time now, we have to re-overtake him. This time, it wasn't his fault. It was our, obviously, pit stop. But we're going to make a very late dive down the inside. Double lock-up, and it's nearly deja vu with the Renault there, this time of Hulkenberg. But that was very similar to the move I made on Ricciardo that resulted in the front wing damage. Hulkenberg was so slow to that corner that I didn't actually realise I was going to make that move, I'll be completely honest. I was thinking about staying behind him and overtaking him into turn 1, but then at the last minute I thought, you know what, I'm either going to smash right into him, into his gearbox, or I have to twitch the wheel to the right and just make a very late move to the inside. It worked out in the end because he locked up as well, but we had a double lock-up, so that could have been equally just as bad for us there. So thankfully he made it work there, and it was a very spectacular move in the end. And now we make a very simple move on the outside of Raikkonen, who is on the medium tyres as sparks fly as we go up the hill there a little bit. So I think there might be a bit of contact on the exit, but Raikkonen no match for us. Ferrari car on 2-step compound softer tyres this is, and now we're catching up to a train of once again Lando Norris. So Norris definitely the defending man in this race so far. And then Robert Kubica is in the middle as well. So Williams' car is in the middle of a battle here in the midfield. So fair play, Williams. But we go down the inside of Magnussen and squeeze him out. He's kind of almost kind of penned in by the Williams car. So felt sorry for him. But we should be able to get Kubica now very easily as we go towards the spoon curves on the exit. We should get a very flying start basically to the back straight. And we should make a very easy pass towards 130R. Or not. Go around the outside and actually get it done before the main straight even starts. So that's been 3 overtakes so far on the lap. Might become 4 here as we go Lando Norris, fake to the right, twitch to the left, and it's another overtake and we're up into P12. So that's been a very good lap for us. Lap number 11, perhaps my favourite lap of the Japanese Grand Prix so far, I think you could say. Now we're caught up behind Alexander Albon. He was a difficult man to pass actually earlier on the Grand Prix, and difficult now as we have to try and send one to the inside in a very unorthodox place. That is such a weird place to pass there, because usually in qualifying you completely nail that corner in 7th gear and go nearly flat out flying through halfway through the apex there. Instead we make it work with a bit of braking, and Albon giving us the respect there down the inside, and I suspect probably just leaving us to do our own thing because he knew it was coming eventually. And then here we go, some pit stops being made, and so eventually lap 13 we're up into what is now P8 in this GP. Of course we will have to make that another pit stop. A lot of the guys behind us are on mediums that are going to the end of the Grand Prix, so I will admit we'll go backwards a little bit, but now I'm in clean air, so we just try and push as hard as we can, catch up to cars, which we are doing because we catch up to Fiat before he makes his pit stop for the Grand Prix. So onto lap 14 we're up into P7 now. Carlos Sainz ahead of us on mediums. I think he started on medium, so he's got a pit stop to make as well. So we can catch up to Sainz. We will be alongside Sainz basically for the rest of this race then. And I think Sainz should be looking good for some solid points. So I think we're already in the top 10, I think you could say, probably by the time we come in and make our pit stop on lap 15 this is, onto a set of soft tyres. We've done a good amount of work in that clean air. So here we go then, that second pit stop. This time obviously a little bit calmer, a bit of a faster pit stop with no front wing needed to be changed. And now we wait on the right hand side. We've got cars already coming through. I can spot an Alfa Romeo racing car, and I think that's a Renault there going through. So let's see where we are on track then. I suspect that's Raikkonen maybe, and Ricciardo. Yeah, Ricciardo there on the top left. I think that was Raikkonen's Alfa Romeo car, and we come ahead of Magnussen. So we're still in the top 10. We're in P9 now, and so we go on and chase after the Renault and Alfa Romeo, and we'll be up into what will be P8, 7, yeah, 7. And now the safety car is called out here on lap number 16. 11 laps to go. Safety car's out. My teammate Vettel's going to pit now, so he's going to get a free pit stop, actually, effectively, Vettel, so that might help his race out. And so we are now tucked up on the safety car. Lap 18, we're going to go to green nearly. I can see it's Valtteri Bottas actually leads the way from the 2 Red Bulls. Vettel's P4. Hamilton is actually down in P7, this is, and behind him is Raikkonen and Ricciardo. So Hamilton has had some sort of major issue in the pit stop phases, as well as Vettel, really, because he's down in P4, and the 2 Red Bulls have jumped him, and Bottas is the one that leads the way. Interesting. So we now move on to the restart of this Grand Prix then, and it's a bit of a sprint race here, and we're on the softer compounded tyre compared to a few of these guys. So let's try and get Ricciardo as quickly as we can, maybe in the S section, trying to dance the car around like we did in qualifying, and find the space. Here we go, around the outside, plant the power, 5th gear, and now can we try and do the same to Raikkonen? Ooh, that would have been very optimistic if I made a move on the outside, I'm not going to lie. So we're going to have to take it nice and easy and try and overtake him elsewhere in this lap here. The Alfa Romeo car, the issue is it's quite drag efficient, actually, so it's very slippery in a straight line, so might have to make a move into a brake zone, to be honest, rather than down a main straight. As we go on to lap 19, you can see we don't gain enough there, but we're going to make it side by side. Raikkonen does leave us the room, and so that move is really only able to maybe half work because of Raikkonen giving us the space. We have to do a switchback move, though. On the outside of the chicane we go, and we made a move up into P7, drifting through, wrestling the car through into P7. Raikkonen gets right up our chuff, though. You can see that straight line speed for the Alfa Romeo racing car, squeezing very heavily. The man we replaced at Ferrari, of course, driving as Leclerc in this season. We played chicken with him, and we are going to maintain that P7. And now Carlos Sainz is the car next up in P6. So I believe right now it's Bottas from Gasly, Verstappen, Vettel, Hamilton, and then Carlos Sainz ahead of us there. But I think Vettel and Hamilton were making some moves very, very soon. I'll be surprised that the Red Bull cars can stay ahead of those 2 guys. But here we go now. It's going to be an easy move down the inside with straight line speed there on the inside of Carlos Sainz up into P6 now. And Verstappen, lo and behold, has already been overtaken by Hamilton. So Hamilton's already up into what is P5 now? Yeah, 5 now in this Grand Prix. Oh, 4, sorry, 4. I can't count here. So it's Bottas, Gasly, Vettel, Hamilton, Verstappen, myself, and we've just set a fast lap of the Grand Prix. So we are looking good, and we're going to close up to Verstappen, who is now fighting for P5 with his teammate there. So both Red Bulls have been overtaken. So I think it's the 2 Mercedes cars making a sandwich with Sebastian Vettel up ahead for the top 3 positions. But can we get a cheeky P4 as the 2 Red Bulls are side by side in 130R? But a contact was made there. Gasly slow. Gasly comes back at Verstappen, though, around the outside. So the 2 Red Bulls hammering tong at their kind of engine suppliers, home GP, trying to put on a show for the Japanese fans here with Honda power. But Gasly's slow off the line, but he's got DRS open. We've got DRS. There's going to be a double toe. Gasly goes to the move on the right. We go on the left. It's 3 wide for a split second. We're going to make a double move, though, on the Red Bull cars into turn 1, up into P4. Gasly makes the move on Verstappen there. And so Verstappen has been mugged off completely in front of the Japanese fans there. Double pass on him. And we're in P4 now, chasing after P3, which is unfortunately Sebastian Vettel. Hamilton has overtaken him, and I think Hamilton's also already overtaken Bottas at this stage. We're on to the last lap of the Grand Prix, this is, and Hamilton has gone from P6 to P1 in the span of 8 laps there. So absolute mighty charge for my championship rival there into P1. Bottas P2, Vettel P3. Vettel's getting very close to Bottas, so am I to Vettel respectively as well, but we don't have enough laps left in this Grand Prix. It's the last one, and so that's very unfortunate. You know, we talked about trying to build on that momentum of a 1-2 for Ferrari at the Russian GP, but Mercedes come and clap back at us with a 1-2 of their own at the Japanese Grand Prix. My championship rival will get P1, and we come home to recover to P4, and so that might be quite big for the championship after this one.
Alright, race over. Take care of the car on the way in.
And Mercedes have pulled off a great victory here today. So, Ant, how exactly did they set themselves apart from the pack today?
Well, I think the track conditions just really suited their car today. Wind, track temperature, you name it. These cars come alive when the tyres are just at the right temperature. So the more easily you can keep them there, the better your race tends to go. And that's exactly what happened. Their car just looks so comfortable out there.
So it's the race win for Lewis Hamilton. We get P4 and the fast lap of the Grand Prix, so we get 13 points there, not 12, but that's still quite a decent amount of points that Hamilton's got ahead of us there. Vettel, I really hope Vettel would have had more pace, because it seemed like he did in qualifying. He was only 1/10 off Hamilton, and yet he just didn't have the pace to kind of mix it up there, and I was banking on him maybe getting that P2 and shoving, you know, Hamilton down to P3, or even getting the win maybe, Vettel, but alas, P4. Carlos Sainz got to be the driver of the day, though. I personally think I was the driver of the day, but Carlos Sainz, honourable mention, because he's P5 in the McLaren there. We missed that overtake, but he made a double pass on the Red Bull car, so the Red Bulls really fell away at the end of that. Maybe some mad tyre wear on the medium tyres, and so Verstappen down to P6, Gasly P7, Raikkonen, Ricciardo and Kvyat round out the top 10 then in the points paying positions in that race. So Drivers' Championship wise, we're still P1, but it's now back to only 1 point in it between Leclerc, myself and Hamilton there in second place there. So the championship is very much up for grabs still. It's very much crunch time. We've got 4 rounds to go and 1 point in it. That is nervous times. And Bottas is the rear gunner that just keeps on backing up Hamilton for the constructors, I think, is, you know, Vettel's there, 2:24, but he's quite some way off Bottas. So Vettel is the kind of one that's slacking in this season in terms of the constructors as a team championship there. Carlos Sainz jumps Magnussen and Perez up into P8. Magnussen and Perez down 1 position, both of them down to P9 and P10. Ricciardo is solid P11 there with 49 points, bit of a gap to Perez there. But like I said, constructors there, it's the gap grows again for Mercedes, so that's really frustrating, to be honest. We went from only like 3 points in it to now quite a few, so we're gonna have to hope we can bounce back again and try and get a 1-2 or a 1-3 at least minimum next race to try and claw back that position on Mercedes. And away from us, McLaren do a great job there with Carlos Sainz obviously scoring big, and McLaren jump up into P4 just like they are in real life there. Alfa Romeo in P5 ahead of Rich Energy, Haas and Racing Point there. But guys, if you did enjoy that very action-packed Japanese Grand Prix, that recovery drive for me after that controversial punt from Vettel, then be sure to smash that like button. Let me know your thought in the comments below. If you aren't around here to subscribe for weekly full-on content, I've been Aarava. Have a nice day. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.